"Don't look at me, I'm disgusting," she cried. But the human only held her tighter. They said humans were crude, unrefined, dangerous. Princess Alanya of the Valari Dominion had seen enough data to agree until she met Captain Marcus Rourke. It started like any other first contact protocol. Cold formalities, cautious hand gestures, and stiff translations from the universal diplomacy AI. Alanya stood tall in her flowing white gown, gold circuitry trailing from her collarbone to her wrists, shimmering with soft light. Beside her, her escort bot hovered silently, scanning for any contamination or threat. Marcus Rourke, however, didn't seem particularly impressed. He was broad, weathered, dressed in a dark jumpsuit that looked like it had seen one too many. Ship fires, his arms were crossed, his scarred eyebrow raised just slightly, as if he found the whole event mildly amusing. She didn't like the way he looked at her, not with lust, thank the stars, but with something worse, curiosity. As if she was something wild and unpredictable. Then the bot sparked. With a loud pop, the air filled with ozone, the escort drone jerked and fell, its anti-grav unit failing. Alanya had no time to react. She stumbled backward, tripped on the hem of her formal cloak, and hit the floor with a soundless gasp. Before the guards could even blink, Marcus was already moving. She stared up at him, shocked. He knelt beside her, one gloved hand extended toward hers. His other hand rested lightly on his thigh, completely relaxed. There was no panic in his eyes, only concern. And something else, soft amusement. She hissed, "Do not touch me, primitive." His grin widened, eyes twinkling. "Suit yourself," he said easily. "But it's a long crawl back to the shuttle in that gown." Her cheeks darkened to a pale violet hue, the Valari version of a blush. She hadn't realized how utterly impractical her ceremonial outfit was until that moment. She glared at his hand like it was made of filth. But something in the tone of his voice, steady, unbothered, not mocking but not groveling either, made her hesitate. He didn't push, he just stayed there, hand still outstretched, patient as a rock. After a long pause, she took it. His fingers were rough, warm, too warm. Her species ran cooler, and the sudden contrast sent a shock of sensation up her arm. She gasped again, and his grip immediately loosened. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded stiffly. "Yes, release me." He let go the moment she said it, but the damage was already done. Something in her chest felt strange. She didn't like the sensation, or rather she did, and that was the problem. Later, as she sat in the temporary guest quarters on the orbital station, Alanya replayed the moment in her head. The fall, his hand, his grin, she didn't understand it. He was ... calm, not deferent, not aggressive, just calm, like nothing in the galaxy could surprise him anymore. And yet, he hadn't hesitated to help her. He hadn't checked protocol, hadn't looked to his second officer, hadn't asked permission, he'd just acted. Valari males would never do such a thing. Every gesture in her culture required layers of approval, honor checks, and legal oversight. Physical contact was only ever for ceremony or contract mating. But Marcus had touched her because she needed help, not because it was his role or right. She was supposed to be the superior life form in that room. That was what she'd always believed. So why did she feel like the one who'd been awakened? She closed her eyes, trying to suppress the warmth still lingering in her skin. Maybe it was a fluke, an accident of body chemistry. Human biology was unpredictable. Crude even, their skin was thicker, their muscles denser. And according to one classified Valari military report, she had definitely not read more than once, their reproductive systems were alarmingly potent. Alania's fingers twitched. She cursed softly in her own language. This was ridiculous. One hand, one moment, and she was already questioning everything she knew. No, she was royalty, she was trained. She would not be seduced by a smirking earthborn brute with ridiculous shoulders and eyes that didn't look away when you glared. And yet, when she dreamed that night, it wasn't of home. It was of that hand, that heat, that moment she didn't recoil fast enough. And the way, just before he let go, he had looked at her not like a diplomat, not like an object, but like a person that, more than anything else, scared her the next morning. Alanya requested a revised diplomatic schedule, privately, without her usual swarm of protocol attendants. She told herself it was strategic. She told herself she needed to observe the human captain more closely, studied his behavior, assessed the risks, but deep down, in a place she'd never admit existed, she just wanted to see him again. Captain Rourke didn't seem surprised when she appeared alone at the central docking lounge. "Princess," he said, sipping from a chipped black mug. "No royal bubble today. I don't require constant supervision," she replied flatly. He took a slow sip. "Didn't say you did." There was an irritating sparkle in his eye again, like he was constantly waiting for her to lose control, and would enjoy it when she did. She hated that it didn't make her angry. It made her ... interested. She sat stiffly on the bench across from him. It groaned under her weight. Not because she was heavy Valari, females were slim by nature, but because the furniture was clearly built for human bulk and poorly maintained. "This station is inefficient," she said, eyeing a flickering ceiling panel. He shrugged. "It's old, like me. Still does the job." She glanced at him. "You do not seem old." Marcus chuckled. "Careful, princess. That almost sounded like a compliment. I meant it biologically. Your species' aging markers are slower than we expected. That's a nice way of saying we're weird. She hesitated. Unusual. Resilient. You regenerate faster than our males and your hormone ratios are ... aggressive. You reading medical scans again, he teased. Her face flushed violet. I study all species I encounter. Sure you do. He leaned forward slightly. So, what else did you learn? She opened her mouth, then closed it. She had read a lot about human testosterone levels, about mating endurance, about she stopped that thought like it was a dangerous flame. Instead, she said, you have a scar on your jawline that's not in the scans. He touched it absently. Ah, bar fight on Europa outpost. I ducked slow. You engaged in primitive violence. Over drink? No, he grinned. Over a woman? Alanya stiffened. You fought for a mating partner. He blinked, then laughed. No, she didn't ask me to fight. Her ex showed up drunk and angry. I broke his nose. Uncivilized, effective. She stared at him. Something about the way he said it, calm, unapologetic, made her feel off balance again. There was no shame in his tone. He had protected someone, not for reward, not for honor, just because it was right. That was rare, even among her own people. Your species is reckless, she said quietly. And yours is scared of mess, he replied. They sat in silence for a long moment. Not awkward, not tense, just ... charged. Then the overhead lights flickered again. A soft hum came through the walls, cycling through ancient filters. The kind of silence only deep space stations could create. He stood. You want to see something? Interesting. I didn't come for sightseeing. No, but you came back. Her mouth opened and then shut again. She didn't have an answer for that, so she followed him. He led her through a side corridor past a rusting storage bay and a flickering repair station. Then he opened a hatch with a hiss of cold air. Inside was a small viewing chamber. No chairs, just a curved glass wall that looked out into deep space. It was quiet, peaceful. The stars moved slow and steady. Endless pinpricks of light in the void. He stood beside her, just close enough for her to feel his body heat. I come here when I need to remember why I bother, he said softly. Bother with what? People, war, peace, you name it. Out there. He nodded to the stars. It all seems bigger than whatever crap we fight over. She looked at him sideways. You're not what I expected. I get that a lot. He turned to her. And you're not just a floating crown with legs. She frowned. That was almost a compliment. He smiled. Progress. Their eyes met, and the silence between them deepened. It wasn't cold anymore. It was full. She looked away first. I should return to my ship. He didn't stop her. He just said, next time I'll bring 2 mugs. You can try real human coffee instead of data files. She turned at the hatch. We'll see, Captain Rourke, but her voice was softer. Now, and when she walked away, she realized something terrifying. She was hoping for a next time, and she wasn't sure if that scared her or thrilled her. Princess Alanya wasn't supposed to return the next day. Her people didn't visit others, uninvited, especially not humans. But there she was again, in docking bay B7, pretending to check structural alignments while her eyes flicked subtly. She hoped toward the east corridor where the captain usually came from. She told herself it was curiosity, but when Marcus Rourke turned the corner, shirt half unzipped, sweat on his collar, carrying a fuse panel under one arm, her stomach dropped in a way that had nothing to do with science. He paused when he saw her. Princess, he said clearly. Surprised again, she straightened. I was inspecting hull efficiency in full ceremonial dress, he asked, glancing at the way her sleeves shimmered with micro-threaded gold. Alanya blinked, caught. She hadn't even realized she wore it. She'd reached for it out of instinct that morning, not protocol. His smile was maddening. Come on, he said. If you're going to stalk me, at least help me fix the vent regulator. It's a two-handed job. I do not stalk, she snapped. Sure, he winked. You just accidentally orbit my location daily. She followed him anyway. They ended up in a cramped maintenance shaft, shoulder to shoulder under a humming pipe. Marcus passed her a tool. Her fingers brushed his again. Too warm, too rough, but not unpleasant. Hold this while I patch the wiring. She knelt beside him, dress fabric pooling around her. She gritted her teeth. This outfit is not ideal for this. Loose the jacket, he said casually. You're among savages, remember? She hesitated, then slipped out of the outer robe, revealing the softer underlayer beneath, a close-fitting gown that shimmered silver blue over her pale skin. His hands paused for just a moment. She noticed. You're staring. He didn't deny it. I'm a man, not dead. Alania's pulse quickened. She hated how her body responded. The scent of his skin salt, metal heat was all around her. She could feel the presence of him, large and calm, beside her. Every movement he made echoed in her bones. This is absurd, she muttered, trying to focus on the tool in her hand. What is your species? You single quotes unfiltered. You feel everything loudly. He chuckled. We don't believe in bottling things up. Yes, I've noticed. They worked in silence for a moment. Then he turned, slowly, face close to hers. His voice dropped. You feel it too, don't you? She froze. Her breath caught. Feel what this pull, he was too close. Now this tension, I see it in your eyes, princess. And it's not politics, you should have ended it. Instead, she whispered, Valerie don't experience ... this, then maybe you've been missing out. His hand brushed hers, not by accident. She didn't stop him. Her pupils dilated. Her skin flushed, every receptor in her body lighting up like a storm. This wasn't just emotional, it was chemical, biological. Her body was adapting, reacting to his scent, his voice, his nerve. Every cell screamed yes, even as her mind whispered no. This is wrong, she whispered, it's not permitted. Marcus tilted his head, then stop me. She didn't move, and then, slowly, deliberately, she leaned forward. Their lips touched just once, light searching, but it shattered something inside her. Like every rule she'd followed had been written in sand. She broke away, breathing hard. I can't do this because I'm human, he asked. No, she said softly, because, with you I don't want control. He looked at her for a long time, eyes gentle, voice low. Then don't. She stood fast. I need air. He didn't stop her, he just nodded once. You know where to find me. She stepped out into the corridor, heart racing, body humming, mind spinning, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like a princess. She felt like a woman, and she wasn't sure she wanted that to stop. Alanya didn't sleep that night. Her chambers on the orbital embassy were warm, quiet, and lined with expensive insulation foam imported from her homeworld, but her body refused to relax. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt him, his heat, his scent, the way her lips had tingled after they kissed. Just once, and yet it echoed through her whole body like a chemical alarm. She ran a diagnostic scan on herself. The results made her go still. Elevated hormone levels, accelerated vascular response, mild tremors, and worst of all, pre-bonding, neural imprint signatures. Impossible. This kind of response was only recorded between compatible Valerie pairings during ceremonial intimacy, not with a human. Not with a man she wasn't even contracted to. She stared at the data, hands trembling. Her biology had done something forbidden. It had chosen. There had been no permission sequence, no regulated sensory ritual, just one kiss, one look, one man, and her body had decided. She slammed the console off. This was dangerous. Not because he was human, because he felt real, and real things break you. The next morning she went to the engineering bay without being scheduled. The guards tried to follow her. She waved them off with a silent glare. They didn't argue. She was, after all, still royalty. But when she reached the bay, Marcus wasn't there. He'd left a note on a ragged piece of plastic paper taped to the wall, outrunning drills. If you're here, you owe me coffee. She read it 3 times. Oh, him. Oh, him. She didn't owe anyone, not since the moment she was born. And yet she found herself in the officer's galley a few minutes later brewing. The coffee machine was primitive, loud, smelled like rust and burnt beans. Still, she poured 2 mugs, just like he'd said. When he walked in, shirt damp from exertion, towel slung over one shoulder, he stopped in the doorway. Well, damn, he said. Didn't think you'd actually come. I didn't, she replied flatly. I appeared, he grinned. Right, of course. She handed him the cup. Their fingers touched again. This time, she didn't flinch. They sat in silence, drinking side by side. The galley was empty. Just the hum of old fans and the quiet tap of ceramic on metal. After a while, he glanced at her. You look tired. I scanned myself last night. Marcus frowned. Everything okay? She didn't answer at first. Then, I'm changing biologically your ... contact. It triggered something. He blinked. Like a reaction, more like an override. She explained in simple terms, Valerie bonding instincts, chemical compatibility, imprint patterns, all of it. He listened. No jokes, no smirks, just quiet, steady listening. When she was done, she said, this should not be possible. And he asked, gently, but do you want it to be? The question dropped between them like gravity. She couldn't lie, not anymore. Yes, she said, voice raw, and that terrifies me. Marcus leaned back, studying her. Then he stood, walked to the console, locked the galley door. What are you doing? She asked, heart suddenly racing. He turned back toward her, voice low. Giving us privacy, because I'm not gonna touch you unless you tell me to, but I need to know right here, right now. She rose from her chair slowly. Her voice was barely a whisper. I want to know what it feels like to be wanted without condition. He didn't move. She took one step forward, then another, until she was inches from him. Their foreheads touched. Her fingers brushed his jaw. His hands hovered near her waist but didn't close the distance. She was the one who pulled him in. This time, the kiss wasn't light. It was full of everything they hadn't said. Need, fear, hunger, wonder. His hands slid around her waist, firm and warm. Her skin burned, under his touch, not painfully, but with a heat that said, this is real. Her lips parted. Her breath caught. And in that small, sacred space between one heartbeat and the next, the princess of the Valerie Dominion made her decision. She wrapped her arms around a human, and didn't let go. She didn't leave his quarters that night. Alanya lay awake in Marcus's narrow bunk, tangled in a blanket that smelled like him metal, old leather, and something warm she couldn't name. Her body still tingled from where he touched her, not just physically but inside deep, like something ancient had finally been unlocked. And yet, she wasn't afraid. That was what surprised her most. She had been raised to expect fear. Bonding was supposed to be clinical, regulated, quiet, but Marcus had kissed her like she was real, like she was his, and she had kissed him back like it was the first thing she'd ever done freely. He stood beside her, one arm draped over her waist, his breath slow and calm against her shoulder. She glanced at his hand, so big, so human, and somehow more comforting than anything in the Dominion. A soft chime echoed in the dark, her personal comm channel. She froze. She reached for it, careful not to wake him, and checked the message. Urgent directive from High Command. Return immediately. Your scans indicate unauthorized genetic contamination. Explain. Her heart stopped. They knew not about the sex, not yet, but about the imprint signature. The hormonal changes, the biological signs that she'd made intimate, unsanctioned contact with a human. Her people would see it as a disaster, contamination, failure of duty, possibly even treason, and worse, they'd come for her. She sat up slowly, unsure what to feel. Marcus stirred behind her. Everything okay? His voice was sleep-heavy, soft. She turned, staring at him, at the man who had broken every rule, simply by existing in her orbit. They know, she whispered. He didn't ask who. He didn't need to. How bad? He asked. I'll be recalled, dissected, studied. They won't ask me if I want to go. They'll just take me. His jaw tightened. They're not taking you anywhere. You can't stop them, she said. They're a Dominion of 12 systems. You have a ship full of rust and bad coffee. He stood slowly, pulling on a shirt. I don't need to stop them. We just need to stay ahead of them. Alanya looked up. You serious? I've never been more. Why? She asked. Why risk everything? He leaned down, cupped her cheek, and said it so simply it made her chest ache. Because you didn't look at me like I was beneath you. You looked at me like I was yours. She closed her eyes, breath shaking. It wasn't logic. It wasn't politics. It wasn't about peace or strategy or first contact diplomacy. It was love. Terrifying, stupid, impossible love. And for the first time in her carefully programmed life, she let it guide her. We'll need a ship, she whispered. Marcus nodded, already thinking of one. Maintenance, transport, unregistered. I can rig the transponder. No one else. No, we're not a food shipment. I can modify my biosignature, she said. I know how to ghost my ID. I've done it before for short trips. He raised an eyebrow. Princess with a dark side. She smirked faintly. You have no idea. By morning, they were gone. The ship lifted off under a false manifest, engines sputtering slightly. Marcus said it gave the right level of junk credibility. She just clutched the edge of the console and tried not to throw up. When the stars stretched around them, Alanya sat back, heart pounding. No more palace. No more guards. No more chains. Just a damaged freighter. A half-smiling human, and the terrifying freedom of choice. She looked at Marcus across the cockpit. What now? She asked. He grinned. Now we stop running. 3 weeks into deep space. Alanya noticed something strange. She couldn't stand the smell of protein packs. Her balance was off, and her skin, normally pale blue and flawless, glowed faintly at night, a silvery shimmer along her collarbone, like stars trying to come out of hiding. She didn't tell Marcus at first, not because she didn't trust him. He'd proven himself again and again, in small ways, fixing the heater so it didn't rattle, letting her win arguments even when she knew he could outstubborn a gravity well, watching her sleep like it mattered that she existed. No, she didn't tell him because she was afraid of the answer. She ran the test twice. Then a third time, same result. Interspecies pregnancy confirmed. Viability 87%. Primary genome expression, human dominant. Neurosymbiotic crossover, active. She stared at the readout, fingers trembling. Impossible. And yet, here, it was a child. His child. Growing inside her. Already strong. Already different. Already real. She thought she would. Panic, collapse, report herself to someone, anyone, but she didn't. She touched her stomach slowly and whispered, "You're not a mistake." That night she sat beside Marcus on the small cargo bay platform under the fake starlight he'd programmed just for her. He glanced at her. "You're quiet." She hesitated, then handed him the datapad. He read it twice, didn't speak. She studied his face, waiting for the reaction. Anger, fear, shock. But all he said, in a low voice she barely recognized, was, "You okay?" She nodded. He handed the pad back. His voice was hoarse. "We're going to have a kid." She blinked. Yes. He leaned back against the bulkhead, rubbed his jaw like he'd been punched by the universe. "A half-Valari kid, who probably glows, and might outrun me by age 5. She couldn't help it, she laughed. A real one. It surprised them both. He looked at her. "You want this?" "I thought." "Didn't plan for it, but yes." His hand slid into hers. "Then we protect them, both of you, no matter what." And in that small, rust-stained cargo bay, surrounded by fuel drums and half-functioning lights. She felt something she never expected to feel again. Safe. Home the next day. The alarms blared. Long-range sensors picked up a Dominion scout vessel. Valerie Tech, cloaked, moving too fast for coincidence. They'd been found. Elenia's heart dropped. They'll take me and the child for study dissection. Marcus's eyes darkened. They'll have to go through me. She touched his cheek. They will. That's the problem. He grinned, wolfish, reckless, human. Then let's make them regret it. She watched him climb into the pilot chair, fingers moving fast, rerouting power, locking down drives, flipping a hidden weapons array she didn't even know the ship had. You always planned for this? She asked. I hoped for peace, he said, but I planned for war. Her stomach fluttered. Not from the baby, from the man she'd fallen for, from the fact that this moment running from a dozen warships in a second-hand freighter with a glowing embryo in her belly felt more alive than anything in the royal palace ever had. And as the stars blurred into streaks and the ship surged forward under emergency burn, Elenia braced herself against the console, smiled faintly, and whispered, "Think the baby likes it when you fight." Marcus didn't turn, just grinned harder. They take after their mom. Then they ran for 6 days straight. Through asteroid fields, old mining tunnels, backdoor wormholes. Marcus swore he could navigate. In his sleep, Elenia didn't ask how he knew so many illegal routes. She just tightened her grip on the railing and tried not to throw up between hyperspace burns. The baby was growing fast. Too fast. Her body glowed now, not just her skin but her veins, shimmering like a constellation map. The child inside her wasn't fully Valari, wasn't fully human, that it was something new, something powerful, and her people wanted it. We need shelter, she told him. Not a hiding place, a sanctuary. Marcus tapped a few keys. There's an old terraforming relay out past the rim. Still breathable. No Dominion presence. Unmapped, no one bother us there. She nodded. That's where we'll have the child. By the time they landed, she could barely walk. Not from weakness, just gravity shifting strangely under her feet. Her balance thrown by the strange pulsing energy in her belly. Marcus carried her to the old survey station. Cracked walls, moss-covered consoles, vines pushing through windows somehow made it feel like a home. He set up a heater, brought water from the purifier, laid out blankets, and never once stopped moving, until she grabbed his arm. "Marcus," she whispered, her voice tight, "it's time." His eyes went wide. "Right now, yes." He panicked just a little. "I'm not a doctor. You're the one who made this child. Now help me deliver it." "Romantic," he muttered, but he held her hand and didn't let go. The labor didn't last long. Her body already adapted, changed, transformed. It seemed to know what to do. It hurt. Gods, it hurt. But she didn't scream. She bit down and pushed. Marcus held her, whispered to her, told her she was strong, that she was brilliant, that she was everything he never deserved and would never give up. And when the child came into the world, slippery, glowing, half sobbing, half laughing, Elenia forgot about pain completely. A girl, perfect, skin softly silver, eyes like starlight, a heartbeat strong and fast like a drum. She didn't cry, she looked wide-eyed and fearless. Marcus stared, stunned. "She's ours." Elenia smiled through tears. "You're crying?" "No, I'm not," he said, wiping his face. She laughed, exhausted. "You're crying like a broken reactor seal." He took the baby into his arms awkwardly at first, then like he was built for it. She didn't fuss, just grabbed his finger and glowed brighter. Elenia watched them and neutrally knew that this was more than rebellion. This was more than love. This was evolution. Later, with the baby asleep between them and the station quiet except for wind in the trees outside, Marcus said, "She's going to change everything." Elenia nodded. "She already has. They'll come back for her," he said quietly, "for both of you. Then we keep moving." He looked at her. No more running. Her eyes met his. "Then we build. Somewhere new. Somewhere safe. A place where she doesn't have to hide. Where no one calls her unnatural. Where love isn't treason." Marcus nodded slowly. "A home." She leaned her head on his shoulder, one hand resting on their daughter's tiny chest. Her skin pulsed gently beneath her fingers. "Warmth. Life. Light. Name her." Marcus whispered. "Lenya." Thought for a moment. Then Solara. "Why?" "Because she was born from stars, and she outshined them all." The stars blinked. Overhead, the relay beacon buzzed faintly. Somewhere far behind them, the Dominion still hunted ghosts. But none of that mattered now. In the ruin of an old world, something new had been born. Not a weapon, not a scandal, not a secret, just a family, a human, an alien, and a child that proved the galaxy was ready for something better. And together, they would write the future, the end, or maybe just the beginning.